Hi everyone, welcome back to Interview Chronicles Season 5. Today we are in the 16th episode of this series and we have Pranav here with us who has been recently placed at Oracle as a part of his campus placements at VIT. He is here to share his interview experience with us, but before we talk to him, let's look at the eligibility criteria. So all students belonging to computer science, IT and electrical related branches were eligible provided they had an 80% or an 8 CGPA in their 10th, 12th as well as the pursuing degree with no standing arrears. Now let's go ahead and talk to Pranav and understand his experience interviewing for this company. Hi Pranav, firstly welcome to my channel and congratulations on your placement. So would you like to introduce yourself first?
Hi Jishnu, thanks a lot. So to introduce myself, my name is Pranav and I'm currently a final year student in VIT. So I'm doing my computer science, engineering, core, and apart from academics, I'm also pursuing leadership roles, etc. And I've a good amount of projects in my hand, internships, etc. So I really I'm loving to be a part of this video.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much. You can now tell us about the placement process, like how many rounds were there and what they comprised of.
This was a recent offer, and the role I got was of an associate software engineer, right? And this was not into the core Oracle departments, but into Oracle business units, which is something that Oracle is focusing nowadays. So this was an interview for the communication department, right? So basically the first round of, obviously after the resume shortlists, were the online assessment, and it was again it was virtual. And first of all, I guess it followed the same pattern just like any other interview, right? The basic computer science questions, CN, OS, OOPS, DBMS, but this time they had also given MCQs from ML as well, like the different optimizers used, or stuff like that, a bit deeper. And they had asked about cloud related services as AWS, and about Kubernetes and all of that. So basically they wanted to, so they are expecting an end-to-end kind of knowledge, right? Not just your core front-end or back-end. And there were also 2 DSA questions at the end. One was quite easy, I guess. It was a string question, was quite easy. Another one was a bit, let's say, medium, slightly harder, but mostly mediums. It was a linked list question, and it's pretty straightforward thing. And that was that, the online assessment. And once the online assessment got over, we got the shortlists after a few days. And now the interview process of Oracle is quite interesting. So there, usually it has 4 rounds, 2 technical rounds, 1 technical plus behavior, and 1 HR round. But for us, the number of students that were selected into the 3rd round itself were few, so they kind of just pushed the HR round into the 3rd round and made it like 3 rounds. For the first round, I was not focused on my resume. It was not focused on my resume. So they asked me DSA questions. So it was again string based questions, like least common palindrome, or one of those basic lead code questions that is given preference to. And then there was another question from just arrays and optimization of searching techniques and etc. And again basic questions were asked from OOPS, CN, DBMS, etc. And I was also asked a mathematical puzzle. Nowadays the companies are interested in asking max puzzles as well.
Yeah.
Right. Mostly the questions would be those WhatsApp forwards that you might have encountered at some point. So it was you need to use your brain a bit for the mathematical puzzles, but it was straightforward. It was a half an hour interview, right? And after that round, we got selected to the next round, and the next round was a bit more long. It was an hour, I guess. It lasted for an hour. So this time the interviewer took his time to ask my introduction perfectly about my internship experiences, projects, and then he asked me a bit detail into the projects as well. He wanted to know the full stack aspect of it, the ML aspect of it, etc. And after that he again asked me from DSA. He asked me 2 questions. Both of them were linked list related. So one was a custom searching problem, and another one was to find loops in the linked list, right? um, yeah, one of them I would say is a bit medium level question, I guess. You know, every person who's solving lead code must have done that. So one was a bit tricky because he had given a few constraints as well. But yeah, so one thing that is important here is to make sure that you are telling your approach to him. So it's not like, you know, you just sit on the paper, you solve it, then you show it to him. You have to speak, you have to be verbal about, you know, the entire thing. You have to keep on telling him while you're working, you know, this is what I'm assuming, this is what I've done, this is why I've taken this data structure, and why this is the optimized version, etc. And it's always better to first give an unoptimized version first and then optimize it, so the person knows what you're doing. After that, again, I was asked like 2 mathematical puzzles, and one of them was easy, one of them was a bit tricky. And after that, yeah, he started asking me questions from all sorts of CS topics possible. He asked me from operating systems, about deadlocks, multi-threading. He asked me socket programming, again your basic CN fundamentals as well, DBMS related questions, tables creation, you know, optimizing the table structure, OOPS related questions. And from what I've gathered from all my friends is they love asking one particular question in most of the interviews, and especially in Oracle, about the diamond problem in OOPS. So it would be helpful if you guys, you know, just have a great look at it. And after that, yeah, so it was just this, and he also asked a few behavioral scenario based questions as well. And yeah, so that was a very long round, and only a handful of people got selected. I believe 8 to 10 of us were selected, I guess. And so the third round was a technical plus behavioral round, and because of the less number of students, they had stuffed in the HR aspect of it as well. This was more of a verification of your resume is what I can say. So the interviewer like went through every line of my resume, right? Every line he was asking me why you have written this. For example, you talk about how you reduced a bottleneck in some project. He asks, how did you reduce a bottleneck? How did you, you know, verify that the bottleneck has been reduced? And if you've given some numbers in your resume, how did you verify those numbers? How did you measure them? Right. So all of this is important, and he asked me everything about that, my internship experiences, projects, you know, places I've been. He also asked about my schooling as well, you know, favorite subject, and he asked me a few questions from that subject as well. And yeah, then he asked a few questions as like, you know, normal HR questions as well, like why Oracle, why this role, and you know, why I'm a best fit for the role. Key point here is to know what you're speaking, right? Obviously research beforehand will help you, and yeah, confidence is the key is all I can say. So it went well, it went smooth. He did ask me a few technical questions as well from socket programming, because it was a communication based department, so that was important. And yeah, and so that was the whole interview process, and after a few days we had gotten a selection list. So yeah, this is my interview experience.
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing your experience. I'm sure it's going to help many people. Do you have any suggestions for your juniors or anything that you'd like to share based on your experience?
Okay, suggestions for my juniors. Okay, one thing I definitely would say, the first thing I guess anybody would say is, do not put it for later. Do not put your preparation for later. Because, see, what happens is, sometimes what you do is like, because obviously you'll be attending multiple interviews, right? You'll again and again start from the first, right? Like for the first interview, you'll start preparing from linked list or string, and then you'll go to some point, and then for the next interview again you'll do the same thing. It's not, you know, feasible. It's not a viable option. You need to have a proper schedule. You know, no issues. I will concentrate on this topic. Like, you know, for example, for my first interview, I concentrated more on, you know, arrays and strings, and the rest of the questions I just looked at the important example, right? because now I have a good foundation in strings and arrays. For the next interview, I don't need to give as much as importance to them, right? So this is a method which I feel is a good. Next, I would say definitely do a good research on the role and on the company, because many students, they just they dive deep into the DSA part of it, and I have to get all my questions right, that they forget about the company or the role. That is extremely important. And finally, I would say soft skills, because even if the interviewer won't ask you specifically why are you a good fit, how will you resolve this problem, some of the interviews might be scoring you for that, even if they don't ask you specifically, right? So you have to make sure that every answer you give, right, incorporates some of the statements where you can portray your soft skills, right? For example, why do you think that why did you use this model or something? So instead of just telling her this is better, or just straight away giving the fans, you frame it in such a way, tell them ki, I sat down, I analyzed all the pros and cons, I put a list down and everything. So something like that, it gives you an edge over the other students, right? And always be confident, right? The final suggestion I would say is, even if you do make a mistake, even if you are not sure about an answer, be vocal about it. Okay, well, my final suggestion would be, just do not lie, I guess, or on your resume or face to face. If you do not know a question, tell them honestly. Tell them ki I do not know this answer, but from my knowledge about everything else, this is what I assume it to be, right? So that tells them ki you are not lying, but you are also trying to get an answer. And you definitely have to know how to handle it if you make a mistake. For example, you tell some answer and they say it's wrong. You need to know how to handle ki you have to tell them ki I understand, sir, I will I might have missed this part during my preparation. I definitely will make sure that I never miss this part again, right? I will make sure to go and have a look at it again. Thank you for your valuable feedback. Something like that, right? So yeah, this is all I have to say.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for all the suggestions, and yeah, thank you for doing this.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Jishnu. Thanks a lot. Thank you for this opportunity as well. I hope this really helps a lot of students.
Thank you.
Thank you all for watching. If you found this video helpful, please do like, share and subscribe. And if you have any suggestions or any specific company that you want me to get people from for the interview experience, please do let me know. And thank you for watching.